First, I want to say thank you to Father Dara for giving us the opportunity to put you in the hot seat in some ways. It's very generous of you to open your heart to us, to help us get to know you and learn about the things that delight your heart, how you connect with God, and also to get a sense of your calling, what God is calling you to do. God called Jeremiah. That's what we read about in the reading from Jeremiah. Now, Jeremiah was called to a very difficult calling, and we pray that your calling does not end like his calling.
Not so tear-filled.
Not so tear-filled, and but we're so grateful that we can follow his example and just reflect about your calling. So, Dara, just to begin with, what's your spiritual background? Where do you come from, and do you have a first memory of God?
Yeah. I was raised in the church. I've probably been going to church the most consistently, maybe, activity in my entire life. I'm a cradle Anglican, so I was baptized at St. John's Shaughnessy in Vancouver and raised in a couple of Anglican churches. And then at one point, when I was a teenager, a new church opened in my neighborhood, and there had been a change in my parents' work schedule, and my mom was like, I'm tired of driving, we're going to check out this new church. So we became Baptists for a little bit, and then Alliance for a little bit, and then Mennonite for a little bit, and as an adult, I have returned to the Anglican denomination. My first memory of God, I can't place the age, but it was very young, sitting in a Sunday school room, hearing about how I myself have been created by God. And I remember rolling up my sleeves, because for me, creation sounded like an art project. And I remember looking for pencil lines on my arms and my legs, and wondering how marveling at what a good artist was, that God was, in that there were no eraser lines and there were no pencil lines, and hoping that one day I might be as good an artist as God is, which I'm not, but that's okay.
Well, you turn to the person next to you and say, oh my goodness, God did a good job, right? God did a good job. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. So you, as you mentioned to the young ones, are in the process of becoming a priest, and probably in a couple months, you'll have your ordination to the priesthood. It'll probably happen at Christ Church Cathedral, and we're probably all invited to come and celebrate that moment in your life and in the life of the church. Can you tell us a little bit about your call to ordination?
Yeah, I think I was about 13 or so when I realized that not everyone wanted to do this job. I just thought everyone wanted to be at church all the time and talk about Jesus all the time. I was a teenager. We were headed down to Mexico on a missions trip, and somebody asked me what I wanted to do with my life, and I literally responded with something like, well, what else this is it. Like, this is all of life. And so while I didn't have words for ordination or priesthood or deacon or all of those fancy things, I knew that I would end up in ministry. I knew that God was doing something in this world, and I longed for a front row seat to what God was doing, and God has led me on that path faithfully. And I stand here as a deacon and soon to be priest.
That's wonderful. And it all started at a missions trip.
It did, yeah.
Should we go on a missions trip? I think that would be a great idea for us to plan some sort of missions trip, particularly for the young people, but I think God's children of all ages, we would do good to go on a trip to, anyway, you've planted a seed in my heart, or that's my brain, but that's great. So in particular, your vocation is around military chaplaincy. Help us understand what that means to you and what that implies for your time here.
Yeah, first, it's a very long process. I've been in this process since 2018 to become a military chaplain, and I'm I want to say I'm almost there, but I'm kind of in the last 2 to 5 years of my formation. And so although I am a member of the Canadian Armed Forces, I serve in the Navy, and I love my work and my life in the military, I've not served technically as a chaplain. And so actually it is all of you and your kindness and your lessons and your stories that are going to form me as my next step as a military chaplain. Just so in case you don't know what military chaplains do, we take care of the morale and spiritual needs of those who wear a uniform. Life, in my short experience of being in the military, every day is either the best day of your life or the absolute worst day of your life. And having a chaplain who lives outside of the chain of command, who is not so fussed about rank and military hierarchy, I'm a safe person that you can go and talk to if you're particularly struggling with something. And I can be an advocate, I can be someone who brainstorms, I can be somebody who sits and holds your hand while you cry, or shout for joy, whatever it might be. I'm also I bridge that gap between military and civilian. So I might support somebody who is in the military but who has a family full of civilians. Often military chaplains are the point of contact for Jesus and the church for lots of people. And so we do a lot of odd jobs in that sort of sense as well.
Yeah, thank you. And then from time to time, you'll be at officers training, which
Yes.
you've just come back from
Yes.
officers training.
Yes.
And because you've just come back from officers training, you're actually going to take next week off as
I
a
am.
holiday, and then we'll see you in the office the following week.
Absolutely.
Was officers training just the best time of your life?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, we'll write that down.
So
Yeah.
I am in the Navy, and the way that the Canadian Armed Forces trains people is you're a soldier first. So they put you through all the field training that an infantier would go through, which I joined the Navy so that I didn't have to do all the rucksack marching and the sleeping under the tarp and the eating of the military rations and all that kind of stuff. So I just did 5 weeks of that, and I'm quite tired and need a holiday.
Yeah. We are so grateful that you're going to be the presence of Jesus in the military. The military hits the news from time to time as a place that struggles with acceptance and community and all that. So we are so grateful God is sending you into that place. And please know you have our prayers as you continue to discern all of that, what that entails. Now, I've been calling you Father Dara. Anyone notice that I'm saying Father Dara? And why?
There's a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
And on a very practical level, military chaplains are fondly called padres. And so it kind of dovetails into calling me Father Dara. It's just easier. I have a nickname. My call sign has the word daddy in it. And so it just kind of lends itself to being father. Additionally, Sarah Coakley is an brilliant Anglican theologian who I love but don't always understand.
Yeah, say her name again. Sarah
Coakley.
You love her, you don't understand
Don't
her.
always
Okay.
understand her.
Yeah.
And I hope one day if I keep reading her, maybe I'll get to the heart of what she's saying. I'm kind of on the fringes. She writes beautifully about God and gender and how our perceptions of gender inform and change how we relate to God. And so it is a little bit of a subversive tactic for me to be able to reclaim some of the softness and some of the kindness of the masculine in a world where our masculinity tends to be toxic or can be toxic. And being a woman in two very male-dominated professions, both in the church and in the military, sometimes I don't like people to see me coming, so Father Dara works just fine.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I think that helps us be able to create the gracious space. We are a gracious community. We have gracious space to call people the names of their heart. Right. And so thank you, Father Dara. Now, Stephanie, I don't know if we have Sarah Coakley in the library yet, but maybe we can look for some Sarah Coakley books for the library so that we can all not understand her together. Yeah. Wonderful.
I'm right there with you, so.
Let's get to Jeremiah.
Sure.
Jeremiah was a child, we read, when he was called into ministry. You're not a child.
No.
But Jeremiah interpreted being a child as a disadvantage. So in some ways, being young or being new to something, Jeremiah saw as a disadvantage, and it caused him to have doubts about his adequacy. I wonder if you're willing to be vulnerable with us some more. Have you ever felt Jeremiah's doubt and inadequacy in your life as a Christian?
All the time, all the time. And I think one of the wonderful and tricky things about discerning a call to life in the church is there are lots of people that are lined up to really tell you about all of these inadequacies. And you kind of have to like get comfortable hearing them and seeing them for yourself, or discerning if that is a true inadequacy or something else. So yes, often, and as I've read the Jeremiah passage in preparation for today, and have heard it read now at the 8 o'clock and at the 10 o'clock, there is something beautiful about saying, Lord, I can't do this, and seeing that God will do it anyway, and giving your inadequacies over to God, which I have not perfected, but I am well practiced at.
Well, it's something we do every Sunday morning, isn't it? We breathe in God's love, and we breathe out all of our cares and concerns. In some ways, our senses of inadequacy, and we give them up to God, because when God looks at us, God does not see anything inadequate. Did you know that? God sees God's beloved child capable of doing amazing things. And so we have to, in some ways, surround ourselves with the spiritual practices to remind us that we are God's beloved children and we have the potential for such great good. What would be some of those spiritual practices you use to help you in those times of doubt or inadequacy?
I'm a fan of praying the rosary. That is a very helpful tactile thing for me to do.
Yeah,
whether
prayer beads.
Whether I'm in traffic or out for a walk or lying in bed and can't sleep or whatever it might be. And that is just helps me ground myself in a tradition of prayer that has been around for centuries and centuries and centuries, and helps me, I feel, fall in line with the faithful before me, as I bow before a God who reigns forever.
Thank you. Jeremiah's call from God was a call to pluck up and to plant, to kind of displace and also renew, maybe at the same time or maybe at different times. That's a heavy call. Anyone ever feel called to pluck up things or to plant some things? It's a Christian call. I wonder what things in this world you see that you want in your Christian vocation to pluck up, and what kind of things you hope to plant in this world as a follower of Jesus.
In 2016, I think it was, Pope Francis encouraged Christians to give up indifference for Lent, which I thought was a really lovely, beautiful practice. So often we look at Lent and we go, okay, well, I'm really leaning on this cup of coffee in the morning, so I won't have the cup of coffee. Or chocolate is just like in my mind all the time, so I'm going to give up chocolate. And so the idea of giving something else up, and the idea of giving indifference up, when really indifference prohibits us, stops us from connecting with each other and connecting with God. And there are so many perhaps malevolent forces in this world that profit off of our indifference. And I think as Christians, we have this like very weird, radical story that like is like oil and water with indifference. We eat the blood and drink the wine every Sunday, and we grow so accustomed to it that it just, what that means to us fades. And so a call to give up indifference is something I really cherish. And if I could plant anything in indifference's place, it would be a sense of wonder. It would be, just what comes to mind is, again, on this training exercise, and when I talk too much about my military life, please just tell me to shut up. It doesn't hurt my feelings. It was like sun was setting, it had been a miserable day, and I was hot and sticky and hadn't slept in like 4 days and had been wearing the same pair of underwear for the last 5 days, and was helping a friend clean his rifle. And we were sitting in some dead leaves, and we were complaining. And as we were complaining, I noticed there were fireflies as the sun was setting that were kind of coming up out of the ground. And I just had to stop for a moment, because I thought, what a surreal thing that I am in a very specified environment of training for, warfare, which hopefully I will never see. Having a complaining conversation about how crappy the day has been and how terrible the food is, and there are these fireflies. And I just thought, I just need to take a moment and be reminded that God's creation is absolutely wonderful. And so if I could pull up anything, it would be indifference, and if I could plant anything, I would want to plant a sense of wonder at the world around us.
So anyone want to join Father Dara in that? That sounds amazing. Just one final thing, and it's just been so wonderful to get to know you over this last little bit, and it's going to be so wonderful to get to know you over the next 2 years, and please surround her with love and prayer and support and all of that. We, as followers of Jesus, always need to learn how to articulate what it is that brings our heart joy, who Jesus is for us, what God is doing in this world. And we find it hard to articulate that sometimes because
it's difficult to articulate.
It's difficult to articulate. We're talking about God here, right? And yet it's so important because unless we learn how to articulate it, we can never share it. If we have good news that we don't know how to speak about, no one's going to hear that good news. So one of our spiritual practices, especially in the coming year, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself right now, is learning how to articulate what God is doing in here. So that's the preamble for this really difficult question. If you could summarize in 10 words or less what God is doing in this world, or the point of being a Christian, all of that thing, what would it be?
It's boiled down to 8 words. David Crowder is a worship leader out of the States, and there's a song that he sings, and the lyrics of this song are, "Love has come, what joy to hear it." And for me, that really encapsulates the gospel, that encapsulates the Christian life, that encapsulates how I'm able to get out of bed every day.
Wonderful. Love has come, what joy to hear it. If you close your bulletin, you can see it written there at the front. Can you see that just beneath Jeremiah 1:5? Love has come, what joy to hear it. Can we say it together? Love has come, what joy to hear it. And Carrie, maybe it's a song we can learn. Yeah, maybe. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your heart. This is just the beginning.
Yes, absolutely.
Can we welcome Father Dara into our community? Thank you, God. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your heart, and we know that it is in the presence of Jesus who loves us, and in